All right, what's going on, everybody? My apologies. We have to postpone the Ringside Reporter podcast tonight. We're going to be doing it tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Eric had an unforeseen incident that he had to take care of, issue that he had to take care of. But I just wanted to jump on here because I really enjoyed that fight last night. And, a lot of times when you see a fight like Wilder Fury 3, a lot of people will say that's the best fight they've seen in the last 10 years, or that's the best heavyweight fight they've ever seen because of the action and because of the drama and just because of everything that was involved in that fight. It just made that fight a very good event. And obviously, when you looked at both men's performances, that made the fight memorable. But I'm going to say something that may come off as being hyperbolic or may seem like I'm sensationalizing, but I saw something last night from Shakur Stevenson. I have to say that is the best, well-rounded performance that I've ever seen from a fighter, at least in the last 10 years. That was the most complete, comprehensive performance that I've seen from a fighter in the last 10 years, right? Shakur Stevenson really proved me wrong, right? They say that it's not always good to listen to the critics, right? Famous people will say, yeah, I just, it comes with the territory. People are going to criticize you. I just ignore the critics. Well, guess what? Last night, Shakur Stevenson did not ignore the critics. And because of that, I think we were able to see every amount of skill that this man possesses in that 5'8", 130-pound body. You know, I've been critical of Stevenson. I've always made statements about him that he doesn't sit down on his punches, that he seems like he's, too overly concerned about getting hit, safety first, overly defensive. He'll be throwing a punch and his feet are halfway out the door before the punch even lands. But last night, I saw a fighter who didn't have that wide-eyed look, like, you know, that wide-eyed look that a fighter has when he's, concerned about what's coming back at him, right? Those saucer eyes. He didn't have that look. He had a steely, hard look in his eyes last night. Gritted his teeth. He sat in the middle of that ring and said, "Knock me off my square. I dare you to." And he was not pushed back at all, right? I thought Jamel Herring would be the bigger guy, and he was in terms of height and reach. But Shakur Stevenson, when both of those guys were in the ring and you saw them together, Shakur Stevenson looked just as thick and dense, probably even more so than Jamel Herring, right? So he could definitely hold that 130-pound frame. And I dare to say he could probably hold a 135-pound frame, right? So he may have been a tad bit shorter and had shorter reach, but when you saw both of them in the ring that last night, he did not look smaller at all, right? Thought Shakur Stevenson would not be as strong as Jamel Herring, but he appeared to be stronger. I thought that Jamel Herring would have more punching power. It appeared as though Shakur Stevenson's punches were harder, right? Now, I knew Shakur Stevenson was faster, but he was levels above Jamel Herring last night in speed, right? He was getting off first at every exchange, right? And it's so easy to talk about someone's performance after the fight and say, well, they should have done this, they should have done that, right? And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, Jamel Herring was old, he wasn't that good, blah, 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 blah. The usual bullshit that we hear after a fight, right? But today is not a day to diminish or degrade or downplay Jamel Herring. Today is a day to elevate Shakur Stevenson. All right? This wasn't about Jamel Herring not being good. This was about Shakur Stevenson showing us greatness last night. Greatness. So when I say this was the most complete performance that I've ever seen from a fighter, he was better than Jamel Herring in every area of boxing. He was faster. He was better defensively. He was stronger physically. He hit harder, right? He not only beat him from the outside, beat him in the mid-range, and even beat him up close, which was something I did not anticipate. Shakur Stevenson went deep in that pocket, and he was ripping body shots. He was keeping his head off center line, right? His head was outside of Jamel Herring's right shoulder, right? It was either outside of Jamel Herring's right shoulder or left shoulder. It was never in center line. And he was bending his knees, tucked his chin, gritted his teeth, and he was ripping them the left hand to the body, throwing that short right hook upstairs, sneaking up the uppercuts, catching shots, catching and shooting on the inside. Like I said, he was pivoting out, sliding off to the side, but he was just staying right there, making little subtle moves, little subtle body adjustments, but never went out of the pocket until he was finished and he wanted to reset. So he was the boss in the inside. He was the boss in the mid-range. In the mid-range, he was a crazy thing he was doing, right? Probably a lot of people didn't pick up on this. You know, he would, in the mid-range, he would throw the jab, right? And he would knock Jamel Herring's left hand. He'd like throw the jab and he'd push Jamel Herring's left hand like off to the side to create that opening. And then he would sneak his left hand down there. Right? This is how crafty he was. Right? These little nuances that he does that you may not pick up on, but that's how crafty he was. So he was throwing a jab to create the opening to open up Jamel Herring's guard, and he was forcing the left hand down the pike. And I learned something last night that I wasn't aware of. He's actually a righty, right? So if you look at that, I want to say the ninth round, he landed two beautiful right hooks, and he had Jamel Herring doing the stanky leg, man. Like he rattled him all the way down to his socks with those two right hooks. I just never knew the kid could punch like this, right? Every time he hit Jamel Herring, he was knocking him back. He was buckling him. He was staggering him. I mean, he was blasting him, man. He was busting him up, right? And then from the outside, and then people can say, well, you know, Jamel Herring needed to be more aggressive. He tried to be more aggressive. There was nothing he could do that was going to work, because every time he tried to step forward, Shakur Stevenson got off first, and he was hurting him. He was throwing a power jab that was pushing Herring back. It was no joke, guys. You know, and again, that's a great point. That's a great point. Kufujitsu. The one thing that we did not know that Shakur could do was fight on the inside, and he fought beautifully on the inside. He was, you know, he was compact, very strong construct. You know, coming off to the side, ripping the hook, ripping to the body, turning, digging that left hand. I mean, he was a beast on the inside last night. That was one area that I did not think he could hang. That was one area that I did not think he could hang with Jamel Herring, and I was surprised. I was very surprised. Based off of what I saw last night, I don't think Oscar Valdez stands a shot. Does not stand a shot. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, there's a lot of people they're going to play the game of woulda, coulda, shoulda with Jamel Herring. He should have done this. He should have done that. Listen, everything he tried, nothing worked. Sometimes, you know, It's not about what a guy didn't do or did do. Sometimes the other guy is just better. Teddy Atlas likes to psychoanalyze these guys. Oh, he didn't behave like a fighter. He needed to do this. He needed to do that. Like it's that simple. If it was that simple, then all of us would be in there doing it. Wouldn't we? All of us would be in there doing it if it was that simple. Shakur Stevenson was just a better man. He had more ability than I thought, and he did unleash the dog. He had that. He had that dialed in look in his eyes, gritted his teeth, stepped in hard with that jab, stepped in hard with the left hand, bent his knees, went in the pocket and ripped those shots to the body. Came upstairs with short right hooks and snuck that uppercut up the middle. And Jamel Herring's is a good defensive fighter. He's got a hard guard to get through. But like I said, he had his hands up like that. Shakur would be throwing a jab, knocking that hand off, knocking that left hand off to the side, and then he was sneaking his own left hand in there. So he was everything that Jamel Herring did. This guy Shakur Stevenson was deciphering it. So we got to give him credit, guys. Got to give this kid credit. I really do. I think a lot of people were picking him to win. He was a huge favorite. But let's be honest. I did a poll, and I looked at a lot of other people's polls. And around 10% of the people in all the polls that I've seen, roughly 10 to 12, that was about the percentage that picked Shakur Stevenson to win by stoppage. No one thought he was going to be that effective on the inside. No one thought he was going to be rattling Jamel Herring the way he did. No one saw that coming. Even if you picked Shakur Stevenson to win, you thought he was going to just stick and move, use his footwork, box from the outside, not get close. But he did get close. He stayed in the middle of that ring, and occasionally he would slide back, take a half step back and circle left, right. But he was right there in the middle of that ring. He was never up against the ropes. He was never in a corner. It was quite the opposite. He was pushing Herring back, and he was the one pushing Herring back to the ropes, pushing Herring in the corner. So he was the one that was the aggressor. He was the one that was the stronger guy. He was the one that was hitting harder. And the speed difference, again, I knew he was faster, but I just did not know he was that much faster. I did not think the speed. It's one thing when you look at the guys, you look at Shakur in his fights, you look at Herring in his fights, but you never really know the speed difference until you see them together. And it was much, much greater than I ever anticipated it would be. He continuously got off first. There was no way that Herring could deal with that speed. He tried to come forward. Every time he stepped forward, Shakur just stuck him with that jab and stopped him in his tracks. He couldn't get his offense going. He could not get his offense going. It was crazy. Sabib, I believe you picked Herring, the underdog. Nah, I picked Herring because I thought that he would be the grittier guy on the inside. I really thought the inside would be the difference, and it wasn't. Because number one, he couldn't get inside. The only reason why the fight got to the inside is because Shakur wanted to fight on the inside. If Shakur didn't want to fight on the inside, then that fight would have never made it to the inside. He couldn't get close to him. And it's one thing, speed, right? We say speed is power. But sometimes you see guys who are fast, but they're not like Camacho. He wasn't really a monstrous puncher. Guys would still come forward on him, even though he had fast hands, because they could take the shots. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. He was hurting him with that jab. It was a power jab. He was stunning him. He was making him think twice before coming forward. And then even when he tried to come forward and he, was more aggressive, Shakur let him come in, and then he started chopping him up downstairs, chopping him up on the inside. Right? And even in the mid-range, that right hook from Shakur Stevenson was nothing to play with. He was shelling up. He was ripping the right hook right around the guard. He had no answers. I'm going to put a question in the poll. I'm going to put a poll question in the chat. Excuse me, question in the poll. Sorry about that. Who do you think would win, Tank or Shakur Stevenson? Put Tank or Shakur. Curious to see what you guys think. Dying to see what you guys think. Yeah, I mean, even if you thought that Shakur was going to win, we'll say 135. We'll say 135 because I believe Shakur. I believe Shakur will eventually will be a 135 pounder. I think he can hold it. He's actually taller and longer than Tank. I think he would beat him. I think if they fought, say if Shakur had maybe a couple more fights at 130, if he had a couple more fights at 130, then he decided to eventually go up to 135, I would say fight Valdez. And then maybe fight someone else, another fighter, right? Then have like 2 or 3 fights at 130, then move up to 135. But who knows how long Tank's going to stay at 135 too. But I don't think he'd be. I don't know if he would be good at 140 if he was fighting guys like Josh Taylor and Ramirez. That'd be tough. Yeah, I did not know. Combat Sports Media says Shakur is an awesome inside fighter. Anyone who's seen him spar knows that. I just never seen him do it in his fights, in his pro fights. Okay. What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on, Beeb? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I was utterly surprised. I picked the underdog last night, and even if I did think Shakur was going to win, I didn't think he was going to win every single round of the fight, and I didn't think he was going to stop him.
Yo, what's going on?
What's going on, Game? How you doing, brother?
Oh, my reception's terrible, bro.
I can hear you though. You sound.
Yeah, my reception's not good, bro.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, now.
Well, yeah. For the record, I've always liked Shakur Stevenson because of his discipline.
Oh.
Mainly because of his discipline. His discipline is what is going to keep him in the game. Because as we're seeing, a lot of these guys have been inactive, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, and they've been looking pretty human. You know, like we saw Beterbiev come back. He looked less than incredible. You know, who else? We've got Mikey Garcia coming back. He gets schooled. I didn't even watch that fight yet. And then we heard about Errol Spence sparring. And then he's got the eye injury. So, I mean, that's still in the back of my head too. I just think that these guys need to be active and stay disciplined. And I think Shakur Stevenson, he's young and he's got that discipline that's just going to stay a habit and carry on later into his boxing career. And whatever he's doing it right because he's winning.
What do you think of what Lomachenko? What do you think about what Tank is doing right now, fighting guys like Raleigh Romero, and even against what the hell is his name? Leo Santa Cruz, right? He was getting touched up in that fight before he scored the knockout, right?
Yeah, Tank gets touched a lot, and that's another reason why I picked Shakur because of defense.
Yeah. That's one area that obviously Tank's probably the heavier hitter, but Shakur, I think, hits hard enough that he'll get people's attention. You know what I mean? But what I'm going to ask you is, like, by Tank fighting these guys, right? Because steel sharpens steel, right? We always say that iron sharpens iron. At some point, right, they got to take the training wheels off of Tank and they got to put him in there with the name. You could say Shakur Stevenson, yeah, people are going to down Jamel Herring, but Jamel Herring was a solid guy. he was a legitimate champion. It wasn't like he fought him for a vacant belt or a WBA regular belt or a interim title. This was a real title shot. It wasn't a vacant title. He earned it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I don't know. I just think if they keep feeding Tank these fighters that he's so much better than, he's not going to get better. He's not going to get sharper. And then when he does step up and fight someone like a Shakur or a Lomachenko, he may not be ready for that. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately.
I think that's the whole reason why they're doing it, because they know there's certain fighters he's not gonna beat, like the Devin Haney's and the Shakur Stevensons. Tank is not beating those guys. He might be able to knock out Haney, because Haney showed less than stellar punch resistance when he faced Linares, I think.
Linares, yeah.
Yeah, but Tank, if you watch those fights, he's timid when he gets touched up. And Shakur, he's got some power behind those shots. Tank can't take that for 12 rounds and just come back and think he's gonna land a big shot on one of the best defensive fighters in the game today.
Yeah, because Shakur's not going to give you much, man. He's not going to give you much. He's going to, even when he was in the pocket, if you watched him, he had his hands up. He was catching shots. He was catching and shooting and stuff against Herring. He was still defensively responsible, even though he fought aggressively. He did not throw all caution into the wind.
Exactly.
He still had a tight game.
And I think Tank is being forced to be this good. He can't even make weight half the time.
Yeah. His discipline is going to always be called into question. I mean, he's made weight the last couple of times. I got to give him credit. He made the 130-pound limit. That's great, but he's been inconsistent in the past, and he's getting older now. He's getting bigger, so we don't know, man. We don't know if he can continue to make weight. We just don't know.
He still got the training wheels on. This old.
Yeah.
And that's concerning. It's like, okay, you don't think this guy can beat anybody? And I don't think they think that. That's why they're putting him in these fights. And that's why guys like Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and other good fighters at that low weight class can't really get the fights that we want to see. And I don't know, man. I think Shakur, he's solid, man. He's definitely the goods. He's been the goods to me.
So you think Shakur Stevenson is the man from like 130 to 135?
Oh,
What do you think about him? So what if Tio's going to be 140 pounder, so we won't even talk about Tio. But what do you think if Devin stays down there? What do you think of Shakur versus Devin? I think Shakur beats Devin too, man.
Yeah, because of the power.
Yeah, Devin.
The power and how and Devin shells up when he gets touched. He doesn't Shakur, he keeps a poker face.
Yeah.
He'll get hit. Even when he got hit in the nuts, all he did was open his mouth like, oh. Then he had to back up. I'm like, hold on, man. But yeah, I think because of his discipline, his power, his defense, of course, he beats. I don't know anyone who can beat him. I guess somebody bigger and stronger.
Technically, Tank's going to be fighting his next fight at 130, right? So he's got the regular belt at 135, but he's got the big super featherweight title. He's got the super 130-pound title. So he's got the real legitimate WBA 130-pound title. That would be a great fight, man. Depending on if Tank stays at 130, or he's probably going to go to 135. Who knows what Tank's going to do, man? Because that's another thing I don't like. You keep bouncing around weight jumping right now. That's not good either, bro. You got to get settled into a weight class. You can't go from 140 to 135, 130. Like you can't keep fighting in 3 different weight classes in such a short period of time. I mean, he's 26 years old. He could do it maybe a little bit longer, but eventually, when he gets to 27, 28, he's going to start slowing down. He's not going to be able to weight jump like that.
Yeah, you're right about that. Right. And he doesn't seem like he understands that either. Seems like, he's just doing whatever Floyd tells him. And I'm just grateful to be here. And it's like, this guy's in there who have been doing this and been in the fight game and know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what not to do. And, if Tank ain't busy, man, he's in them streets. It's not like he's training and putting out training videos when he doesn't have a fight scheduled or nothing like that. I just think that Shakur just edges him out and probably gets him a 12 rounder. Maybe doesn't knock him out, but definitely a 12 round decision at 135 right now.
Yeah. Yep.
He looked bigger.
Yeah,
he did look pretty big.
He looked like he was filled out, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
He looked like he was filled out. He looked like he was legitimate 130 pounder. I wasn't sure like how he was gonna look. I didn't know, but yeah, he was solid, man. He was solid. He was definitely solid, man.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens next, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, the Valdez fight will be next. I'm hoping that will be the next fight, but we'll see, man. Because, like you said, a lot of these guys, like we just can't get these fights done. And when you look at some of these guys that Tank's been fighting, man, I'm telling you, bro. I mean, we got to stop. They got to stop making these matchups, bro. They got to stop making these matches because it's not helping boxing. Like I don't know how much these guys are making, but 200,000 pay-per-view buys, like that just tells you people aren't interested in a lot of these fights, man. They're just not interested in a lot of these fights. Think about this too. You got guys like Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez fighting on ESPN. That's a much larger audience, man. You're putting the guy out there to more casual fans. I mean, Tank does a good live gate, but there's more than just a live gate, man. There's more than just a live gate.
They're gonna ride it until they can't ride it no more, because they know Tank can get outboxed. He takes a lot of punishment. It might not look like it because the punches might not hurt, but he still gets touched, and there's gonna be a fighter that's gonna, jab him to death, and it is gonna hurt or close your eye, or you know what I'm saying? He's light skinned, he gets touched up and bruised easy. So I think Shakur would be the guy to do it.
Absolutely, man.
He was like a sniper, just pew pew, just landing, pew pew, picking his shots wisely. It was a masterclass.
I mean, who else is there, man? At 130, you got Oscar Valdez, you got Miguel Berchelt. I don't know. They got this Russian guy. I don't know too much about this Russian guy. They got, he was the guy that had the draw with Joseph Diaz at 130.
Shakur.
I think they fought for the IBF title. This guy's name, Rakhmonov. Yeah. Shaka Tabadzan, Rakhmonov. He fought Joseph Diaz. This guy may be tough, but who knows, man? There's a lot of southpaws, man. There's a lot of southpaws at 130. You got this Rakhmonov guy. You got Tank. You got Shakur. You got Herring. I didn't realize there was that many southpaws in this division.
I didn't know either.
Yeah. Listen, Tank has he's either got to go up to 135. He's not going to stay at 130. TMT going to keep him at 130. LB has got him in with the Rolly fight. Listen. This Rolly fight is fixed. The Rolly fight is fixed. Everything which is going to go down in the Rolly Romero fight against Tank We all know it's fixed. We all know it's fixed. So, like, what do you want to see? Ponce, everybody's saying Ponce and all these other guys, Barrios, are going to fight other guys down at 126 or 130. Tank needs to actually step up, beat this guy, Romero, and he needs to go up to 135. But is he going to do that? I think he will, but I think Ellaby's not a good promoter of boxers. Is not a good promoter, but Ellaby is the kind of snake. He'd sell you his mom if he could get black on the roulette table. That's what Ellaby is. He's not a very good seller of fighters, and he wasn't a promoter originally. Floyd got Ellaby in as a mate, so is his friend. Floyd didn't get Ellaby in from his resume. We're not talking anything great here, so we'll see. I just don't think that. I just think Tank is a good fighter, but I don't think he's necessarily going to get to the high levels because they're not going to put him in with the high fighters, bro.
Yeah, that's what I said, because if you keep him, keep the training wheels on this guy, how's he going to get better? Because like I was telling Stacks, steel sharpens steel, right? He's 26 years old. He's 26 years old.
Well, we've been speaking about it on Billy C Boxing for many years. Rest in peace, Rocky Sensacola. Passed away in August from cancer and that.
I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. So Billy C Boxing. I don't know if you know Billy C.
I know Billy C. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he still around? He's still doing shows? I don't see him on YouTube anymore. What's he doing now?
Yeah. They did a show today, and I found out today that Rocky died. Sal actually died. Actually passed away, man. Is very, very sad. Very, very sad.
That's horrible,
but
man.
But that aside, if I was discussing boxing now, you can tell that it affected a lot of people. It was nice and Georgia, and I think he fought Sugar Ray Leonard he fought one of these top guys, but he got knocked out in the 4th round. So Sal was a good boxer, but he got knocked out, and I think it was the 4th round or something. I know he fought one of these guys, but
how old was Sal? Sal was he owned like the pizza shop and everything. Remember how old
he
was
did?
He?
Yeah, he was 62 years old.
Oh, that's so horrible, man. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it was a really nice.
He's a fun guy, man. He was nice. He was
cool.
I used to love listening to them go back and forth with the banter.
Yeah, they used to have, because Billy C was a promoter in New York, so Billy C used to do all the promotion in New York. Sal moved down from New York to Florida originally, but he came back up to I think it was Georgia. I don't know much about them.
Yeah. I only know when they would talk a lot about stuff, and they had good stories, the both of them. They used to give each other stick. It was fun.
Yeah. It was probably one of the best boxing channels on YouTube, to be honest. If you're talking pure boxing and actually talking, no nonsense bullshit, I just think Billy C and Sal, that they were nice. They got this other guy on now. I think he's called, what's his name? Khan or something. He's a good guy as well. He does stuff from, so I think Billy C lives in Newark. So he's got a lot of people, around there. In New York, which they're all New York based.
So what did Billy C say about Shakur Stevenson? And I guess what was that fight? Was that on BT Sport? Were you guys able to watch it in the UK on BT Sport?
Yeah, I watched the highlights. Billy C did a live take on it today. He was saying Shakur was excellent in terms of his boxing skills. The only precursor that they had on him was his power. In terms of his power, I'll just go and get myself a glass of water. The only thing that they said in terms of Shakur was his power. Yeah, I won't be long.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people are still questioning, Shakur's power, but I thought he was rocking Herring with a lot of shots yesterday, man. So I don't know. I mean, I think as he gets older, he's only 24 years old. I know he's going to continue to get bigger and grow. I think he's going to probably fill out and become more muscular and stronger physically. So he showed some good power at 130. I got to tell you, I didn't think he would rock and hurt Herring like that. And you can argue maybe the ref stopped it a little early, but what if he didn't stop it? I think Shakur would have gotten a clean stoppage on him. I think he would have. He was starting to bust him up. He was starting to hurt him. He was starting to rock him. You could see his legs was rattling every shot he landed. You know. So I don't think that he's a power like a feather fisted powder puff type guy. I think he's a legitimate puncher. Maybe he doesn't have one punch knockout power, but I think he can still. I think he can still punch. I think he hits hard enough to get guys' attention. I don't think he hits like Tank, but once again, like Tank's not as quick as him. Doesn't have the footwork that he has. Doesn't have the defense that he has. Right? It's a great fight. Depends where Tank's. I don't think Tank's going to go back down to 130. I don't see that happening. I think Tank should settle at 135 for a while. I think that's a good weight for him, man. He surprised the shit out of me because he fought on the outside, he fought the mid range, he fought in the pocket, and he stayed in the pocket and he fought, and he was moving, catching shots, had a tight guard, fought out of a real strong, compact construct on the inside. He was solid, bro. That was, like I said, that was one of the best performances I've seen, most complete performances. I thought he fought perfectly. I don't think he made any mistakes. I can't criticize him on anything. He fought a perfect fight against a solid champion. What more can you say? What more can you say, man? There's really not much more you can say. His face was clean. That's right. Herring's was getting busted up. And another thing, a lot of people didn't like his personality, and I've been critical of his personality too. But I have to say, at the end of the fight, he showed a ton of class. He really was gracious. He went back to the locker room. Like how when you win the belt, you take the champion's belt, but then you give it back to him at the end of the fight. At the end of the fight, you go back to the locker room. When he went back to the locker room and he congratulated Herring and he apologized for talking trash, and I thought that was a show of class. That was a show of class. So,
yeah, he did all right. The fight was good. I never really watched it live, but I think Shakur did well. Yeah, there's not much to say about the Shakur Herring fight because he didn't really get my juices flowing. To be fair, Did
you give Herring any rounds? Did you give Herring any rounds? Or you just watched the highlights, right? You didn't see the whole fight.
I watched the whole fight about 2 hours ago, and I didn't give him no rounds in that fight.
Yeah, I didn't give him any rounds either. It's funny how they were saying the 5th round or maybe the 8th round could have been to him.
Nah.
But sometimes when a guy does better than when he did the previous round, then they want to give him a round because they want to give him. Yeah, I don't give guys like sympathy rounds or just because you did better than the.
I'm not.
There was a round like in the 5th round where he had like a good 30, 35, 40 seconds, but Shakur did everything else. He was winning the rest of he was winning like the first 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the round. And then this guy has like a 45 second run. I'm not going to give him the round because of that, for that.
Listen, that guy, he was in the Marines, yeah. Said he was in the Marines and he fought in the Marines. If you're in the Marines, you're gonna have to turn up a bit more harder than that.
So you were a little disappointed in Herring's performance then?
I just thought he was over the hill. I used to box. I was over the hill when I was 32. I used to box at the Joe Egan gym, who was Mike Tyson's training partner. 17-2, my record, amateur and professional. 17 wins, 2 losses. Yeah, listen, you're 35 years old. You're done.
I hear you.
You're done. You're done. It. You've either got to turn up and make an effort. If you're not going to turn up and make an effort, he's obviously just there for the paycheck.
I got you. Hey, what's going on, brother? What'd you think of the fight?
Man, that's exactly how I thought it would win. I thought Stevenson would probably take him out by the 7th, though. I knew Herring wasn't gonna be able to really touch him early, and it looked like Herring just kind of like it looked like he just wanted to wait him out, see if he'd gas out from over punching himself. But of course, that didn't work. I was gonna ask you something because I remember arguing with a guy on YouTube from another channel. I tried to tell him like I think Shakur would have gave somebody like Juan Marquez problems. Like to me, he got that perfect style that'll tear Juan Marquez apart. So what do you think about that?
At 130, I mean, yeah, at 126, Marquez lost to a guy named Freddie Norwood. So at 130, I mean, it would be an interesting fight. I wouldn't count him out. I think it would be a difficult style for him. You know, he's only 24 years old. It's kind of early to say, but I see where you're coming from because of the foot speed. I think he would have problems with
and he's so long. He's so long for that weight class, and he's one of the best outside fighters we got today. Because I don't really see a lot of good outside fighters. Like the last supreme one I seen pretty much from this era is probably Lara. But the rest of these guys ain't really great on the outside. I think a lot of people try to talk about Tyson Fury, but we seen he couldn't really stay on the outside versus Wilder. He had to fight Wilder coming forward. And who else? There's someone else I'm missing that's a pretty good outside fighter. But also I watched the fights, man. I ain't gonna lie. Ali's grandson looked terrible. I ain't gonna lie to you. He was getting hit with the same punch the whole fight.
A lot of people are critical of him, but he did land a beautiful right hand. But outside of that, I heard his defense is really bad. He has really bad defensive reflexes. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just doesn't react to the shots. Like he has no head movement. He has no head movement.
Oh yeah, he's just bouncing up and down. And I think a lot of it is he's just trying to get the fight over with because he sees who he's up against. He's not going against great competition. But he got like a Keith Thurman type style, but he don't throw those wide hooks like Thurman does. But one thing about Thurman though, like he has some type of defense. He'd get on his bike and move around. This dude just coming forward, hopping up and down, getting tagged with the same punch over and over again. You got to work on that. I didn't really like it. I didn't get to watch the Evander Holyfield's son. I didn't get to watch.
I saw the knockout. Oh, it was a beautiful left hook, man. Oh my God, what a beautiful left hook. And you know what? I gotta say, his son's pretty sharp. Like, you know, he was sitting there. He was in the pocket. He was catching the shots. And then, you know, he caught the shot. He caught the hook. And after he caught the guy's hook, then he just rolled into his hook. It looked good, man.
It was like Charlo did against J-Rock. Remember Charlo caught the hook?
Something like that.
Popped him with the uppercut.
Well, this was like a beautiful hook, man. Beautiful hook. But I know what you're saying, like how he caught it, how he catched and shot on it. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh shit.
Shout out to Afro King G with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. See this guy with Orion Yuta says Navarrete struggled with Joet. He's got 0 chance against. I don't think he struggled against Joet. I thought he won 9 out of the 12 rounds, but Joet made some of those rounds tough because he had his spots. But I still think Navarrete is a tough guy, tough fighter. But I think Shakur would beat Navarrete. I think so. But Navarrete is 126. So we'll see if Navarrete will eventually move up. He's a big guy too. That'd be a good fight for Shakur at 130.
You
But-
think Valdez finally gonna fight Shakur? He gonna keep ducking him?
Well, I mean,
he,
where
dropped the
can
belt last time?
yeah, I mean, where can Valdez go now? Really? I mean,
I don't know.
since they're both top ranked fighters, I think Bob can persuade Valdez to fight Shakur. It only makes sense. But you know what's crazy is Tank's got that WBA 130-pound title, right? So he's probably gonna
interim.
no, he got the real one. He got the super junior lightweight title. And then he got the regular 135-pound title. And
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and then Raleigh got the interim 130. Yo, this shit is I can't even make this shit up anymore, man. It's just too funny.
It's too much belts and
then the
ducking and
yeah.
avoiding. I'm glad they Raleigh and Tank gonna fight. I think Tank gonna wash them. We just gonna.
I'm worried. I'm worried for Raleigh in that fight, man. That fight, he's gonna get hurt, man.
I think he's gonna land some big shots, though.
You think so? You know what?
I
want him to win. I want him to win.
I don't think he can win. No,
I don't think he can win. I don't think he can win at all. I think he's gonna. I think he got a snowball's chance in hell. And I hate to say that about any fighter, but I want him to win. I'm gonna pull for him.
Yeah. Because
it's not because I hate Tank. You know why I want him to win? Because as long as Tank is like has titles, he's gonna hold him hostage. And the divisions that he's in, they're not gonna go forward. For the sake of boxing, this is no hate. For the sake of boxing, this is no hate against Tank. I want him to lose.
Yeah. All those fighters like that, I'd be wanting all of them to lose. I ain't gonna lie. I can't stand that. That's why I was so mad when Valdez actually won the belt versus Burchett. Man, I hated that. I don't want no fighter like that holding the belt, holding up the division. I'm glad.
So you think Valdez is going to hold up the title? He's going to keep hold the title.
He ain't going to unify. He's not going to unify. Not versus Stevenson. Only way he going to unify is maybe somebody else like Gervonta come or something where he could get a little bigger of a payday. But he ain't going to unify.
Let me ask you a question. Did you think that Valdez beat Consecow, or do you think that fight could have gone either way? I
don't even remember that fight.
You don't remember the fight? Okay.
Yeah, I don't even watch Valdez after he dropped the belt. I can't watch people like that. I don't think he the cream of the crop. I don't think he the cream of the crop. So I don't even.
I got you. Because I thought that fight was razor close. I was picking Consecow to pull the upset, and he almost did. That was a close ass fight.
Yeah, I'm glad Mikey Garcia lost too. He was one of them dudes that be holding up the division too. So I was glad.
Yeah. I mean, the Garcias, him and his brother, they're nice people and everything, but his head wasn't in it. You know what I mean? His head wasn't in it.
Yeah, I'm just glad he got.
I had Valdez. Yeah, he's a part-time fighter. But I had the fight a draw. I thought it was a close fight. I watched it and I edged it to the Spaniard. I can't remember his name. Yeah. Martin. You had it. You gave it to Martin.
Martin. Yeah, I gave it to him.
A lot of people had it like
just off of accuracy.
Yeah, a lot of people had that fight like 6 rounds to 4. I had it a draw. I was surprised the judges had it wide. The judges had it wide. They had it like 7-3 for him. And then one judge had it a draw.
It's probably because he was landing flush and Mikey Garcia wasn't. So,
Yeah, his shots were cleaner. His shots were cleaner.
Yeah, when the judge is sitting down, they can't really see all angles. So if somebody's landing flush, everybody sees it, as opposed to if you grazing, like one judge might see it and the other one might, and the other one won't. It's similar to that. So I think like they got the decision right, just not the actual numbers right. But it's still good. Who else has a fight coming up? Canelo Plant. Who fights before Canelo Plant?
What do we got?
Crawford.
That's after. So November is a great month, bro.
Oh yeah. I already knew we had like 5 weeks of good fights, and I think the UFC's putting on a good card too. With what's his name? The African versus Kobe. Usman versus.
Usman,
Covington.
yeah.
I want to see that fight because their first fight was pretty good.
That's gonna be a good fight, man.
Yeah, that was a great fight. But yeah, it's a bunch of good fights. I hope me personally, I hope Plant beat Canelo because me personally, I think Canelo be cheating. I ain't gonna lie. I just think he be cheating. I ain't got the physical proof, but he already failed that test. Whatever the excuse was, I'm not buying the clenbuterol thing because he too rich. If he didn't pop for that early in his career, I don't understand why he popping for it now because he too rich. He got a personal chef, and I got my girl's from Mexico, and her family go to Mexico all the time. And I know they do eat a lot of beef out there, but he's not living like them. He's living like
You know what's
in
funny?
the
It's
mansions of Guadalajara.
yeah, it's funny you say that. You know why? Because when that whole thing came out about the beef, my co-host Eric and a lot of other people I was talking to, they're saying, "Yo, this dude's getting his meat shipped in. He's getting special cuts. Ain't no way he's going to
Yeah, he's not
some
going to
fucking
the farmer down the street with
yeah. He
the
ain't going
10
to like
chickens.
some like buying food off some vendor cart on the street and shit. You know what I mean? That's a good
Yeah,
point. That's a good point. You know, the whole Tyson Fury with the boar meat, him with the beef. I don't know, man. I'm not ready to believe all that. I'm very
yeah, it's
skeptical.
just like y'all too rich. I see these dudes got personal chefs. Like, nah,
They're getting
nah.
their shit shipped in and stuff too, man. Yeah, you're right. Personal chefs. Yeah, I mean,
It's not like this ain't the beginning of their career. Like somebody like Valdez, if this would have happened to Valdez, but Valdez is from I mean, not what's his name? Who's the one that popped?
Valdez popped for Fennerme.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, if it was Valdez with the meat, but he's not even from Mexico, he's from America. But if it was like this up and comer from
Well,
Mexico.
he was saying he was saying it was some tea that he drank.
With the tea thing, because I remember lately, what's the guy name from the UFC? Romero, he got a lawsuit against a vitamin company because in these companies sometimes they do mix in different ingredients and different like products, and so it does get contaminated. But they're able to go back and test these things and test this stuff and see like, oh, it is in there, and they can actually put a lawsuit on the company if this stuff does get tainted supplements.
Yeah.
And if it really happened, he could just go back and then they could actually investigate. But I don't know. I ain't never heard of nobody drinking tea and
Yeah. I mean, I like Canelo, man. I don't know. I put that behind him. I mean, he's in VADA now. He's being tested, so I got to give him the benefit of the doubt now. To be honest
but
with
the
you.
thing is that WBC clean boxing program, what's his name? Danny Garcia said he didn't get tested for a whole year. And he had 2 fights, I believe, that
Oh,
year.
for real?
Yeah. I remember he
Oh,
was
okay.
talking about it because remember Danny Garcia and his dad was going hard on Triple G when they was trying to claim Triple G was on something, and they was
Oh,
like,
wow.
we haven't even got tested. Yeah,
That's
so
crazy. That's a trip.
they need to do something about that. I think maybe the council or one of the sanctioning bodies need to get more involved and check on what the actual what's it called the testing protocols are and how they can actually strengthen them.
I got
All
you.
these dudes was on stuff, man. That's
So,
scary.
so you think Plant makes it past 7 rounds, or do you think he goes late? You think it's an early stoppage? How do you see that fight going?
Man, I don't know Plant personally because I know a lot of boxers personally. I know people that know Plant, but they don't know too much about him. They're people from the David Benavidez camp because Plant used to work out there. But I don't know if he got that dog in him to say like if he's losing, I'm not finna go out on a decision because you know how some fighters are. I don't like that. So I don't know if he's willing to go out by KO like Herring did, or is he just gonna take the decision loss? Because you know with Canelo, you gotta beat him down. You gotta beat him down. So I don't know. Either he's got to make it look clean, or he's gonna have to beat him down. So I would pick Canelo like 10th round stoppage.
I'm picking Canelo 7th round stoppage. That's the next big one, man. That's 2 weeks away, bro.
Yeah.
That's 2 weeks away, man. That's right around the
Did you
corner.
watch Oscar Rivas?
Oscar, no, the Bridgerweight fight. You seen that?
Yeah. what's the guy from Poland or something? Man, he had no
Something like that.
defense
Yeah. How do you
at
look?
all.
Was
He
it
had
an
no
easy fight?
defense.
It was an easy fight.
No,
Huh?
no, it wasn't easy. This dude was fighting. He came to
Yeah.
fight, but he had no defense at all. He was just sitting there, hit shell up, going to that high guard. And Oscar Rivas was just. I feel like Oscar Rivas was a little bit bigger than him too. Like I think that weight thing was a factor. Because I think the guy moved up while Oscar Rivas moved down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he felt it looked like he was just too big. He had a little bit more thud on his punches. But the guy was like, he put his heart out there. But Oscar Rivas won it clean. It was a decision. He did catch Rivas with some good ones though. I had him rocked a little bit. It was a good fight. I didn't watch the whole card though, but
It's
I
pretty
don't know.
cool.
Is the WBC the only one with the bridger weight?
Yeah, but let me see, on BoxRec it doesn't say that it was for the Bridgerweight title, but I'm assuming it was because I heard it was supposed to be for the Bridgerweight title.
Yeah. And is Dylan White out his fight? Because I heard something about Dylan White versus Otto Wallen.
Yeah,
Dylan
that
White
fight's
was
off.
replaced.
That fight's off. I don't. It hasn't even been rescheduled. I don't even think it's going to be rescheduled. To be honest with you,
Did he get replaced or is the whole card off?
I think the card's off.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, Billy?
I just got to say, man, I wasn't too impressed. Shakur Stevenson, they're trying to hype him. I wasn't too impressed. Whatever.
I like the fight, man. I was impressed.
Yeah, no, that was a good fight. But I got to say, he's 35 years old. It looked a little bit like elder abuse out there. It looked a little bit like elder abuse. And these guys who are middle-aged 30, 35, Carl Frampton 34, at that low weight class, it's just it's not good. You can get away with it at the higher weight classes, but the lighter weight classes, you got to be speed, reflexes. It's just when you get up there, that mid-30s, you see the turning point, and that's what it looked like. It looked like the turning point where his age is starting to finally catch up to him. That's what I think the difference was. Just a little bit past his prime now, 35 years old. His win over Carl Frampton, he's 34 years old. So it's like, I just don't think those guys are in peak physical performance at this age.
Well, you gotta. I guess I don't know because like Andre Ward was still pretty good at 35 when he was fighting. Certain guys can do it, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but they're fighting at higher weight classes, so that speed wasn't as much of a factor.
Yeah, maybe you're right though. When they're the lower weight guys, once they get in the late 30s and stuff, they start slowing down. That's because
especially with Rigondeaux, like that's what really killed Rigondeaux. He ain't even moving like he used to. He still got like the fundamentals down, but when they take him having to actually move his feet, he a little bit of tree stump with it.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. Because when you see these guys, the lighter guys, once they start. Like Pacquiao, Marquez, they fought. They I guess there's going to be some outliers, but they were at 147. When they were getting up there. But yeah, if you're going to be like in the 135 pound weight class, I guess the older you are, the harder it's going to be on your body to make that weight. So you weren't impressed. You weren't impressed at all with that performance.
No, I was trolling. It was impressive. He whooped him. He whooped his ass, no doubt about it. But I think it was more to do with the age factor than it was to do with Shakur Stevenson. I just think it wasn't the same Jamel Herring we're used to. It just kind of seemed like it was past.
Jamel did say he couldn't win that chess match. He realized himself there was a total difference in skill. So he just tried to push him and try to rough him up, but I don't think it would have factored in no matter what age. It just it came down to technique and Shakur put it on him. I feel like Herring could have put more pressure on him if he was younger, but even when he put pressure on him, he wasn't like extremely effective to the point where he was hurting Shakur. He was just like wearing him out, but he wasn't really hurting him. So I don't think the age would have mattered. But I was gonna ask, what do you guys think Regis Prograis is gonna do? 'Cause I know he wanted that fight with Mikey, and Josh Taylor got all the
Yeah.
belts. I don't think Taylor's gonna rematch Regis right away. Like no time soon, because I know he has a
Taylor-
fight coming up. But
Taylor gonna go to 147. I think he probably gonna end up fighting Crawford at some point because I think Crawford will beat Porter. I don't see how Porter can win that fight. I'd be surprised if maybe it'll be competitive. Who knows? Porter's got a way of making these fights tough. I don't want to sleep on Porter, but I just have a hard time seeing him beat Crawford, man.
You see, Crawford's moving up too as he got older. He had to move up too. I don't think
Yeah.
it's just to do with the weight, the not being able to make the weight. I think it's the speed and everything. He's got more power. He's relying on power punches to hurt these guys.
Yo, listen, like, there's nothing from Shakur that's come from anything. Look at his last 5 fights. He got, what was that geezer? Naka fucking bullshit from in Vegas that he fought for the interim title. That guy was shit. They picked him out of a fucking mud heap in Africa to fight him. Then he had Clary before that. Listen, I don't know much about Shakur Stevenson's record, but I know one thing about it. It's all UDs and fucking joke. Man, them coming up with joke decisions. He beat, what was it, Guerrero? Who was that guy he beat? Guerrero? That Mexican guy? That's the only good thing that I can give him credit for.
Joette.
I don't even know. I've only watched about 6 of Shakur's fights, but
I think talking about Joette.
Joette Gonzalez.
And I can't give him much credit. The only what did he beat? Diaz, or what was his name? Diaz, that guy. He beat him on a UD.
It was Joette Gonzalez.
You talking about where he had the guy's sister in the ring? That's Joette.
Yeah. That was an American guy, but I'm not on about him. I'm on about the Mexican he beat before him.
Yeah,
Chris Diaz.
I don't know what his name is, Beep. I don't know what his name is, but I know he beat him on it's an early round KO. But I can't rate him, man. I watched him against Simon. There was a guy called Vitor Simon. I think he was a Belgium or some idiot from Europe. I watched that fight. I think it was on an undercard of a Paris fight.
Well, he's only got 16 fights. I mean, let's cut him some slack. I think he's going to be great, man. I
do as well.
I just think he doesn't push enough. I think he's not actually searching for the KOs in these fights like most younger.
No, he's a good fighter.
Maybe that'll change now.
I think he just need to get his confidence up more and more.
I got a lot of time for him.
I mean, he's 24
he's only
years
like
old.
22, 23.
You see what he said to Tim Bradley? Because Tim Bradley was giving him a lot of stick about how he fought in the last fight. And after the fight, he went over to Tim Bradley and said, "Thank you for motivating me." So,
he's a very respectful guy, and I think the fact that he's very respectful is going to take him a long way in this world. Because if you ain't got respect in boxing, you're going to get fucking dumped.
I think a lot of it is, you said respect. I think the fact he actually takes advice from these seniors and accomplished guys, as opposed to these other fighters, a lot of them, they like get insulted, and then they kind of disregard what the other people are saying.
They get butthurt.
Yeah, man, yeah.
He was working with Ward, and then he was working with Crawford. And I thought maybe
the thing with Ward, though.
I thought that would help Jamel that he was working with Crawford.
The thing with Ward, you only have to ask anyone in boxing. Ward is putting his fingers in many pies because he only had a 32 or 33 fight career. So Ward is trying to make up for the fact that he didn't fight anyone in the media circuit. So he's trying to make up his cash from that. He's a bit of a piece of shit, Andre Ward, if I'm honest with you.
You don't like Andre Ward?
Hot take, Brian.
I don't
B-Dog.
like Andre Ward, and I don't like Carl Froch. No, I don't like them, bro.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, Andre Ward made up that conspiracy theory with the ring count. He's always been biased. He's
There
been
you
biased.
go. He's a fucking piece of shit, bro.
Whoa.
You said he made up a conspiracy theory with the ring count. What conspiracy?
Yeah.
He said that was a long count. Oh, I don't know if the count. They really let him go on there. Tyson Fury. The ref did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he said it. You're saying that on national broadcast.
Yeah, I'm all for the
They say that
conspiracy
about
theories.
every fight them two been in, all three of them has always been something wrong.
I'm all for the conspiracy theories, but I think Andre Ward is the last person in boxing. Listen, Andre Ward had an excellent career. It was like B-Hop. He just went around punching people in the balls and got decisions, punching him in the... Listen, I got no hate for Andre Ward. I think he's an excellent fighter. And if I was fighting, I would have done exactly as Andre Ward. But as a fight fan, nah, bro. As a fight fan, I'm not backing it.
I love Andre Ward, man. I'm a huge Andre Ward fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Andre Ward fan in terms of skills, in terms of everything that he's done. If I was in the same position as him, I would do exactly the same thing. But listen, I'm not in the same position as him. I'm watching fights, so he should have been rinsed from a lot of fights, man. He's a very, very dirty fighter, but he knows that the game's dirty. So Andre Ward was playing dirty because he knew exactly what was going on in terms of boxing. So I can't hate him. I got a lot of respect.
Everybody's fighting. Everybody's doing a little bit of dirty. You got people holding the back of their head, clenching.
There you go. But it's not hate. I'm not coming to Andre Ward from a hate.
I don't think he's.
No, he is. He is, but
I don't know about that.
I got.
It's not like Klitschko with the holding and the head, leaning on the head and things like that. Like that to me, like when you get to like the Klitschko type things or the Abner Marius, I feel like that's too much.
Nah, Ward was a good fighter, man. I like Ward.
He was an excellent fighter. There was no nefarious activities that I can say which I would hate him. But that said, he should have fought another 10 fights. He doesn't get into my Hall of Fame. He doesn't get into my Hall of Fame, Andre Ward. No way.
He's already in the Hall of Fame, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Was that 2019? That he got put in the Hall of Fame first ballot.
That's right.
Gold medalist.
Let me tell you what. Andre Ward got a gift decision. He got a gift decision against Kovalev. That's a fact. Nobody can deny that gift decision against Kovalev.
That was his punching him in the balls. He was punching him in the balls.
The first fight,
I had him winning. I had him winning the first fight, man. Come on, Kovalev did nothing. Kovalev did nothing the last 6 rounds, bro.
Kovalev won the first fight.
He won the first fight. He lost the second fight.
I didn't have Kovalev winning the first fight.
Yeah,
the second fight was legit.
The second fight, he threw a nut shot that stopped the fight. Oh, yeah. Direct nut shot.
John David Jackson came out and said that Kovalev gashed out in that first fight, and John David Jackson said it was on Kovalev.
Yeah, that's what Jackson said.
As hard as he should have been. Yeah, John David Jackson.
I don't know who that is. I don't care who that is. I watched the fight.
Kovalev's trainer.
I watched the fight. Kovalev won that fight. Kovalev won that fight.
The second Ward fight.
Ward knew it. Ward knew it too. Ward knew it. Look at his face after the decision. He looked like he got away with armed robbery.
Respect anybody running back with somebody. If it's a close fight,
I just think I would have had a lot more respect for Andre Ward after the fight. If he won that, he would have done another 4 or 5. Listen, I would have had no issue with Ward punching people in the balls. I'm an Englishman. If he would have fought another 5 fights, look what 1, 2, 3, 4.
Who's he gonna fight? Tony Bellew?
Well, yeah, knock him out.
Oh man, I've never been a fan of Tony Bellew. I ain't
Tony
gonna lie.
Bellew's the biggest piece of shit in boxing. Tony Bellew is the biggest piece of shit in boxing.
Kovalev did not win the first 6 rounds. Cut it out. Come on.
Larry
Kovalev
Bird.
got the
Larry Bird.
first or second round with the knockdown.
Outboxed him, cabbed
He
him,
won the
dropped
first
him.
He did
He
not win the
dropped his
first.
ass.
He did
He
not
dropped
win the
his
first.
ass.
I agree with
One
Billy on that.
knockdown. It was one knockdown the whole fight.
And that was easily the biggest moment of the fight.
Yeah. I would say that the first fight should have been a disqualification for Andre Ward, and the second fight was an Andre Ward win. Listen,
Qualification? What are you talking about?
no. I tried to keep things very fair. The first fight, Ward should have been disqualified. The second fight, he did win it.
Disqualified for nut shots?
He didn't really throw that.
It was
he
a
didn't start throwing
1-0
body
for me.
shots till like the 7th round.
Yeah, you could argue that, but they were borderline in the second fight. There wasn't exactly in
He keeps a
Kovalev's
short
balls.
tie.
Yeah, maybe.
He keeps a short tie.
It's 1-0 for me. That 1-0 for me. That the whole trilogy was 1-0 for me. I just think he should have been banned, like Wallin Fury. Fury lost that fight against Wallin. He had over 20 stitches. If you've got over 20 stitches in your eye, that's an instant.
I don't do the street fighting scoring. I do round by round.
Well, it is. If you look at the rules for WBA, WBC, Beeb will know more than anyone. If you've got more than 3-inch cut or 20 stitches in your eye, that you have to go to the cards on that fight. And what was that? The 6th round? And Wally was up.
Wait. How do they know how many stitches? How do they know how many stitches?
They can tell the
stitches.
It's doctor's discretion.
If it goes past the 4th round and they stop the fight,
there you go.
If it's not from a punch, they go to the scorecards.
I got a question. How do they know how many stitches are required before?
That's him saying that. That's him.
That's the doctor. The doctor will come in and check the eye.
But the doctor
and they'll just guess and say, "Yeah, that's 25 stitches. Got to stop the fight."
No, the doctor does have. There is rules within. There is actual stipulations, not big stipulations, but
I've seen Gabriel Rosado fight like 3 extra rounds on like some of the worst cuts I've ever seen, and the doctor didn't stop it. So
yeah,
I don't think
well there you go.
Anything
but I do think the Fury fight should have been stopped against Wally. To be honest,
well, the thing is, he kept going and he won. So this whole rule stipulations, discretionary thing, it's bullshit.
Yeah, maybe so, but I think you do need to have some rules in terms of something. You know, I think Wallin has been so avoided in boxing; it's unbelievable. You know,
he got his name off of the loss.
Well, you got this.
You could say the same thing about Ortiz, King Kong Ortiz.
No, King Kong. Well, he's got nothing on his resume of any description. Who's this guy? Oh, come on, bro. I could not fucking Brian Jennings that. That's a fucking joke, man.
At that
come
time,
on, man.
Nobody was knocking out Brian Jennings.
Nah, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking the Brian Jennings.
Brian Jennings went the distance with
Brian Jennings was done in. Yeah. He was done in about 2005. You can't give me Brian Jennings. I need more than Brian Jennings, man.
He fought Klitschko in like 2014, 2015.
Probably got the shit kicked out of him.
Nah, it was actually a really boring fight. Klitschko was just hugging him the whole fight.
Brian Jennings probably got knocked out in the 4th round against Klitschko. That's not a fight.
Decision.
That's not a fight. Is Brian Jennings an American fighter? Then come on. He ain't no good.
Hey, Beeb, what do you think about Gary Russell versus Shakur Stevenson?
Yeah, that's one fighter I was thinking about with
Bruce
Gary
Stevenson
Russell.
beats him.
But I was gonna say, I feel like Mayweather was taking shots at Gary Russell at the Rolly press conference with Gervonta when he was like, we got guys where we offer them fights and they say they don't want it. Because I remember Gary Russell had an interview where he was saying he don't want to fight certain guys because it's not a high enough payday, so he's not really making any money at the end of the year. He was like he wants to fight Gervonta Davis. So I felt like Mayweather was kind of taking shots at Gary Russell in that press conference.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Tell you what, Gary Russell just kind of disappears. Like the dude's such a good fighter, but he's got no push, no draw. He like barely keeps his name out there unless it's something with Floyd Mayweather or something. Like this dude needs to be in the
well, the
mix.
thing is, he wants to fight these top guys, but he's not. He doesn't want to fight these ranked opponents that aren't like really looked at. To him, he feels like it's a waste of time. He knows he's good, but he's not trying to fight because I think he said the money he makes, he's getting taxed the same amount of money as if he fights the second time, fights a nobody pretty much for a second time. I think was his exact words. So he's like, I just want big fights. He just wants to fight the top guys. He called them all out. He's called out Gervonta. He's called out Shakur. He's called out Valdez. He called out Santa Cruz. He's called these guys out. I think the Santa Cruz one was the most disrespectful, where I feel like Santa Cruz should be trying to fight Gary Russell. And he's actually disrespected the hell out of Gervonta, saying that Mayweather is keeping him from. He said Gervonta's scared of him. I think the only one he kind of put some respect on was Shakur, but he gave him like the respectful call out. Like he said, if he win a belt, then yeah, he a target too. So I just want
Tell
to
you
see him
what,
get in a fight with some of these top dudes or get the Loma rematch. I'd love to see that too.
Leo Santa Cruz. The problem with him is he's got those earrings. He's got those earrings. He's like a hipster dude. It's like a hipster dude. He's just not. He's not cut
What
out
does that
for
have
it.
to do with? What does that have to do with anything, man?
What's wrong with that dude, Leo Santa Cruz? You hipster dork. Oh my gosh. That dude's done for. It's game over for him.
Wow.
I just feel like when he ducked Rigondeaux, I think when all those dudes ducked Rigondeaux, that kind of showed like they wasn't really a cream right there. So that's all I feel about it.
Gary Russell hasn't fought since February, 8 months ago.
Yeah, he came out with the. I remember that fight. He came out with the entrance with the
But
drums and stuff.
he's a featherweight though.
Yeah, but he was willing to go up a weight class or two because remember he was even trying to fight Terrence Crawford.
Yeah, but he's only 5'4". He's like 5'4.5". He's only 5'5", bro. He's tiny, man. He's got a 60.
He's the Hobbit man.
He's a tiny dude, man.
How big is Gervonta? Gervonta's only like 5'5", right?
Yeah, but he got long arms. He bigger than fucking Gary Russell, man.
But that dude from the UK that was sparring Gervonta, he was a short dude too, little short, stocky dude. I forgot his name at the Gap. And I heard he put them hands on Gervonta, but and it was a sparring. But I don't take it too much into it. But I feel like Gary Russell would give Gervonta problems. I think he'd beat Gervonta.
Wow. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think he'll beat Gervonta because Gary got pop. He got pop too. You don't really use it a lot because usually fighting safe, but I feel like he got pop, and Gervonta's easy to hit, and that's the only reason I think Romero's gonna be landing big shots on Gervonta because he's easy to hit. But I feel like at a certain point, Gervonta's gonna hit him in the body, Rolly gonna fold.
I would have liked to see Gary Russell rematch Lomachenko.
Yeah, that's another fight I still won, but I think Lomachenko said he doesn't really care about the fight because of excuses. Or Gary was talking about he wasn't on weight for that fight. He was weight drained and didn't have enough time. So I think Lomachenko kind of like played it off.
Yeah, I got you.
I got a question for you guys.
Hypocritical?
Go ahead, Billy.
I got a question for you boys. How about this? And Matis and Jonas and Ugas. What's your thoughts on that situation? Because I got a take for you. Steniotis is mandatory now. Looks like they're gonna be setting up that fight versus Ugas.
I don't know who that is. I just know who guys is. I don't know the mandatory.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that they're not going to let Ugas fight Spence. So I'm not happy with it.
Yeah,
I just
but the
want
thing is,
unification.
Steniotis has been looking good. I've been watching this dude fight. He was that fight with Delorme, with Roach. The dude, he's got that Terminator style. Just comes forward, high guard, and just breaks these dudes down.
Didn't you say
And I think
Brian Jennings was watched? What about Delorme? Because that
I'm
dude
talking about.
watched
I
as
said
hell.
Steniotis and Matis
I'm saying,
Steniotis.
I know you say he fought Thomas Delorme, but I'm saying, didn't you say Brian Jennings is washed? Because Delorme, he been in the washing machine about 3 days. You forgot to put him in the dryer.
I didn't say anything about Brian Jennings. Who's Brian Jennings, the heavyweight?
Yeah.
No, he didn't say nothing about Brian Jennings. The other dude did.
The other one? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
the
I
other
was going to
dude.
say, that don't make no sense.
No, he didn't say nothing about Brian Jennings.
Yeah, so Steniotis, I think he beats Ugas. I think he beats him.
I'm going to have to look him up. I got to watch a couple of his fights on YouTube or something. I want to see.
I think that's why he was so adamant about getting that Spence fight. He wants a big payday versus Spence because he knows this is a young, hungry lion, and it's gonna be a night. It's gonna be a rough night for him. So he's like really pissed off, angling for that Spence fight.
I
But
think Ugas probably has the worst matchup for Spence out of all the welterweights in terms of style wise. I think that's why he wants to fight Spence so bad.
Yeah. And who knows how good Spence is going to be, man, when he comes back.
Yeah, because he did watch Danny Garcia, but I never had like high expectations for Danny Garcia once he moved up. I feel like Danny Garcia should have stayed down, fought post style, and it should have been him versus Crawford. It seemed like he's kind of avoiding Crawford because he keeps dismissing him and things like that. But it's like, bro, his resume is better than yours.
Yeah.
What is Danny Garcia doing though? Because I did hear he
we
was
went to
going up in weight.
154.
Oh man,
He ain't gonna be not that one. He's gonna have a hard time at 154. I'll tell you that.
he's gonna be getting popped. You better not fight Erickson Lubin. You're gonna get hurt. I don't know who he's gonna fight out there. Who's gonna fight?
Jamel would I don't think he could beat Jamel. Jamel would have.
I don't think he could beat any of the dudes in the top 5. I'm not gonna lie to
Brian.
you.
I don't think he could beat like Brian Castano guy either.
I don't even think he could beat the dude Jamel beat Banana. What's his name? The one that beat J Rock. What's his name?
Rarios.
I don't remember. But the guy, he's from Cuba or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he could beat him. He's just too big for Danny. So.
Yeah, Danny's too small for one. He's too small for 154.
Yeah, we thought we were small for 147. So I don't understand that.
The dude Charlo knocked out with the jab to the chest.
Yeah, to the red basket.
Body shot. It was a body shot.
That was freaky. That was a weird knockout.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Duke had a crazy chin. He just had a soft body.
Yep.
Pop for something crazy.
It's true. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up, man.
Right, man.
Thanks for stopping by, man. And I'll come back tomorrow. We're gonna check out the Ringside Reporter podcast. Myself and Eric Loda will be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Eric couldn't be with us tonight. Couldn't do the show tonight. He had an issue he had to take care of. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining the chat. Thank you all for the super chats. Peace out, everyone.
One love, Habibi.
One love, brother. Have a great night, everybody.